Your ancestors woke up cold. They walked miles for water, hunted for dinner that could hunt them back, and built shelter with their hands or slept without it. Hardship wasn't a choice, it was the weather of being alive. And their bodies and minds, the same bodies and minds you inherited, were forged by that pressure into something extraordinary, an organism that grows precisely when challenged, and only when challenged. Then, in an evolutionary eye blink, we removed the pressure. Climate control, food delivered to the door, entertainment on demand, elevators, escalators, algorithms that think for us, and apps that remember for us. Almost everything hard has been engineered out of daily life, and it was done with love by people trying to help. But here's the problem no one anticipated. A creature built by difficulty does not thrive in its absence. It decays. Muscles atrophy without resistance. Minds fog without challenge. Courage rusts without use. Comfort in the dose modern life prescribes it is not a reward. It is a sedative, and an entire civilization is quietly overdosing. You can feel it, can't you? That restlessness that lives underneath the convenience. Anxious but bored. Exhausted but unaccomplished. Softened but not soothed. We are the most comfortable humans who have ever existed, and by nearly every measure of despair, the numbers keep climbing. That is not a coincidence. That is a diagnosis. Something in us knows we were built for more resistance than we're getting, the way a river knows it needs banks. So here is the prescription, and it is as old as our species, even though it now sounds radical. Do hard things on purpose. Volunteer for difficulty before difficulty drafts you. Take the stairs and the cold shower and the heavy weight and the long silence and the honest conversation and the ambitious project that scares you. Not because suffering is noble, because chosen difficulty is training and unchosen difficulty is coming either way. That's the part people miss, so let me put it plainly. Life will bring you hard things. That is not pessimism, it is a schedule. Illness, loss, failure, betrayal, seasons of grief, no one gets a full exemption. The only question is whether hardship will find you practiced or unpracticed. The person who has voluntarily done 1,000 hard things has built what the unpracticed person lacks, proof that they can suffer and function, struggle and continue, hurt and hold. When you choose the cold water every morning, you are not really training for cold water. You are teaching your nervous system a sentence it will one day desperately need. Discomfort is survivable, and I am someone who moves through it. Science has a name for this: stress inoculation. Small, controlled doses of stress teach the body and brain to regulate under pressure, the same principle as a vaccine. Athletes call it progressive overload. The muscle grows only when asked to do slightly more than it comfortably can. Every system you own works this way. Bones densify under load. Focus deepens against resistance. Confidence, real confidence, the kind that doesn't evaporate under pressure, is built exclusively from evidence, and evidence is only produced by doing things that were not guaranteed to work. There is no comfortable path to any of it. Not because the universe is cruel, but because growth is, by definition, what happens at the edge of capacity. No edge, no growth. It's not a rule anyone made. It's just what growth is. Now watch what happens to the difficulty scale of your life, depending on which way you walk. The person who flees discomfort finds that discomfort chases them, and it recruits. Skip the hard conversation, and it grows into a hard relationship. Avoid the gym, and eventually the staircase becomes the gym. Dodge the challenging work, and the unchallenging life becomes its own slow emergency. Avoidance doesn't shrink hardship, it compounds it with interest payable later at the worst possible time. But the person who walks toward difficulty discovers the opposite miracle. everything downstream gets easier. After the 5 a.m. training run, the difficult meeting shrinks. After you've fasted, hunger loses its authority. After you've done truly hard things on purpose, an astonishing percentage of what used to intimidate you gets reclassified permanently as minor. Voluntary hardship is how you shrink the world's power over you. And something else grows in that process, something rarer than toughness, self-respect. You cannot buy it, manifest it, or affirm it into existence in a mirror. Self-respect is earned in the currency of witnessed effort, you, watching yourself do the thing you didn't want to do. Every voluntary hard thing is a deposit. And people who make those deposits daily walk differently. Not swaggering, settled. They've stopped wondering whether they can rely on themselves. They have too much evidence. Let's make this practical, because do hard things without specifics becomes a poster instead of a practice. Choose your hard things across 3 zones. First, the body, some form of physical challenge that has a growth edge, lifting, running, hiking, swimming in cold water. It matters less which one than that it progresses. The body is the training ground where the mind first learns that limits are negotiable. Second, the mind, learn things that make you feel dumb again. A language, an instrument, code. The stumble of true learning is a discomfort most adults have completely eliminated from their lives. Reintroduce it. Third, the heart, the hardest zone of all. The apology you owe. The boundary you need to set. The truth you've been softening. The ask that risks a no. Most people will run a marathon before they'll initiate one vulnerable conversation. Be rarer than that. And a warning, because this philosophy has a counterfeit: don't confuse chosen hardship with self-destruction. The point is challenge, not punishment. Training, not injury. Sleep deprivation is not discipline. Ignoring real medical needs is not toughness. Grinding without recovery is not strength, it's just slower quitting. The test is simple. Chosen difficulty should leave you, over time, more capable, more calm, and more useful to the people around you. If it's leaving you broken, bitter, or smaller, that's not the medicine, that's another disease. Hard by design has a direction, upward. Start smaller than you think you should, and start today. Take the cold shower for 30 seconds. Walk the errands you'd normally drive. Put the phone in another room for 1 focused hour. Say the slightly scary true thing at dinner. These sound trivial. They are not. Each one is a vote for the identity of someone who does not require comfort's permission to act. Stack enough votes and the election is won. You become, in your own eyes, a person who does hard things. An identity once earned is self-fueling. You'll seek the next edge without being told, because you'll have tasted what's on the other side of it. Because here is what's actually on the other side, the secret that every voluntarily hardened person eventually smiles about. It was never really about the cold water, the heavy bar, the early alarm. Those were just doors. On the other side of them lives a version of you that comfort could never have produced. Calmer in crisis, lighter in hardship, harder to frighten, impossible to sedate. A person whose peace is load-bearing. The soft life makes soft people, and soft people are at the mercy of a hard world. But strong people, people forged on purpose, get to be gentle by choice, calm by depth, and free in almost any weather. The world will hand you your hard things soon enough. It always does. Meet them trained. Choose your difficulty this morning before life chooses it for you tonight. Do hard things on purpose. It is the oldest medicine, the cheapest teacher, and the only known cure for a life that has become too easy to feel.